Konnichiwa, Japan fans. Today's show, we're going to talk about micro stories. Eigo desu. それでは行きましょう. So let's get going. This is the 8th year of the Sales Japan Series podcast, broadcasting around the world from the Beverly Hills of Japan, Minato-ku here in downtown Tokyo. It is chic central. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Story, Dale Carnegie Tokyo franchise owner, the president of Dale Carnegie Tokyo Training, and the 3-time best-selling author of Japan Sales Mastery, which is Zaegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Presen no Tachijin. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Tonin de Okane o Mori ni suru no wa yamemashou. And my just released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery, and all are available on Amazon. In this podcast, I want to help you to survive and even better, thrive in business. I want you to 1, sell more and do it more easily. 2, exceed your targets. In fact, let's blow up your targets. Number 3, make some serious money. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues. We're not being sponsored by Libsyn, but we value your privacy, which is why we have our podcast hosted by Libsyn. Unlike many other hosting organizations, Libsyn have a strict policy that does not allow access to your private information by anyone. Here is our daily podcast lineup on Apple Podcasts. Mondays, the Cutting Edge Japan Business Show podcast. Tuesday, the Presentations Japan series. And every second Tuesday, the Business Tachijin no Oshie Show. Wednesdays, the Sales Japan series. Thursdays, the Leadership Japan series. And every second Thursday, the Business Pro Podcast Show. Fridays, the Japan Business Mastery Show podcast. Saturdays, Japan's top business interviews. Now, this is episode number 415, and today we're talking about micro stories unlock trust in sales meetings in Japan. Storytelling is usually associated with novels of hundreds of pages, movies lasting 2 to 3 hours, television drama series 50 minutes long per episode. In sales in Japan, we get a mini window to the buyer that hopefully in the first meeting will last an hour. During the second meeting to present the solution, we will also get around the hour the buyer has allocated for the meeting with us. In both cases, we have to make sure the buyer, rather than us, is doing most of the talking. That is especially the case in the first meeting because we don't actually have any clear, in-depth idea about what they need. The time should be spent in 2 phases. 1, establishing credibility and trust, and the second phase devoted to asking questions to uncover their needs. The main opportunity for telling micro stories in phase 1 is around our background and experience. The buyer wants to know who they are dealing with. They want someone who knows what they are doing, someone who can help them, and we need to fill in those details for them. We have all had the experience of buying something. We ask a question, and the clerk says, "1 moment, please," and then disappears to ask someone else the answer. This is never a confidence builder. We immediately recognize we are being served by the clueless. That is a danger for us in sales in B2B situations where we have to answer their questions without having to get the answer from someone else. We need to tell stories which will assure the buyer we are an expert in this field and we can give them concrete and valuable assistance to solve their complex problems. Usually, there is a rapport building phase at the start, and this is where we can package up a mini bio of who we are. Remember, we are a stranger to the buyer, yet we expect them to unveil all of their corporate problems and challenges. Recall what your parents told you. Don't talk to strangers. Yet, here we are, trying to sell them something, and they don't know who we are. In Japan, in that rapport building phase, I'm often asked about why I came to Japan. I have a plan for that question, and so should you. I mentioned I came for 2 years to study Japanese at Georgia University as a Japan Education Department scholar, and this has turned into 40 years. This gives the listener a lot of confidence that I know Japan and that I'm an insider, not a gaijin or outsider. I also make a subtle point that actually the real reason I came to Japan was to study traditional Shito-ryu karate. This reinforces for the listener that I know Japan at the deepest level, having trained in the martial arts here, one of the last bastions of old-style traditional culture. Find out more when we come back from the break. Our show today is brought to you by our public courses, and we also have custom in-house programs as well as both in Japanese and English. We do classes in our super safe classroom, and we do them live online. The show today is being brought to you by, on the 13th of February, our Dale Carnegie course, 3-day version. On the 14th of February, Winning with Relationship Selling. 22nd and 23rd, we're doing high-impact presentations. Our website is www.dale-carnegie.co.jp. Email me at greg.story@dalecarnegie.com. If you like learning by watching videos, then we have over 2,300 there for you at Tokyo Japan Dale Carnegie TV on YouTube. We release 3 shows every week on YouTube. The Cutting Edge Japan Business Show, that's the premier business show in Japan, every Monday Tokyo time. Fridays we have the Japan Business Mastery Show, and on Saturdays we release Japan's top business interviews, where I interview leaders from SMEs right up to the corporate captains of industry on one topic, leading in Japan. Now, every second Thursday, we release the Business Pro Television Show. Don't forget to grab my business best-selling books on Japan on Amazon, Japan Sales Mastery, which is Saegyo in Japanese, Japan Business Mastery, and Japan Presentations Mastery, or in Japanese, Anata mo Presen no Tachijin. My other books include Stop Wasting Money on Training, which in Japanese is Training de Okane o Muri ni suru wa yamemashou, and my just released new book is Japan Leadership Mastery, and all are available on Amazon. Welcome back. Establishing my Japan credentials isn't enough, though, because the issues at hand are commercial, and I need to demonstrate that I know what I am doing so that I can help them. Having a strong brand like Dale Carnegie is helpful because I always mention that we started the training in Japan in 1963. This tells them we have a lot of experience in Japan, so we can understand their problems. I give them a very brief bio of Mr. Mochizuki, who launched Dale Carnegie in Japan, to personalize the point. In the second meeting, when presenting the solution, it is vital to have stories of how other buyers succeeded with the solution. These don't have to be long stories, but they need to do 3 things. 1, put flesh on the bone and what the solution does for the buyer in application. 2, explain how that buyer was able to adapt the solution to their business specificities. And 3, talk about the success they had with it. We may not be able to mention the name of the other buyer for confidentiality reasons, and we should definitely point that out. No buyer wants to hear all about the juicy details of another company and then hand over the details of their own company to you, knowing you have such a big mouth and will go around telling everyone about their secret business if they do business with your firm. We just have to make the point it is a company very similar to the current buyer. We should talk numbers, best expressed as percentages of growth or speedy turnaround or major cost reductions, etc. Japanese companies rarely want to be the first mover because of their risk aversion. They prefer others to trial it first, and then they can study the results and see if it is for them. We don't have that much speaking time with the buyer, so we need to have micro stories we can draw on to bolster our credentials as a reliable, trustworthy partner. We also need to allay their fears that what we have won't work for them by telling micro stories of where it has worked for other buyers. These stories can't be just pulled together out of thin air in the moment. We need to have worked these up for meetings with clients before we meet them so that they are lean and pared down for easy, fast retelling. Stories need data, and data needs stories in sales. We should never forget this golden rule when selling in Japan. Thank you for joining the Sales Japan series. If you found the program useful, then please work on your karma and share this with your family, friends, and colleagues. Don't forget to subscribe and share this podcast. Immediately apply what you've learned. Go out there and survive. Use it and make some serious money. Bucks, dough, ruler, coin, dosh, lolly, readies, smackers, earners, and bread and honey. Remember, I'm in your corner, your go-to guy for soft skills training in Tokyo, committed to your success here in Nippon.